get started. If you are able to stand, please join me in the pledge. Flag's over here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Thought of the day today, happy 110th anniversary to the Kiwanis Club of Indianapolis. August 17th, 1916, we received our club's charter, and many of the charter members of the first Kiwanis Club, the Detroit #1 club, were associated with the automotive industry, and they thought it'd be good to build a club here in Indianapolis due to the automotive industry that was here at the time. Some of the factory elements still remain here downtown. Club was formed in May, received the charter August 17th. It was the 18th Kiwanis Club in the world, and we received our charter. It was officially presented to us in October 16th by George Hickson, who was the first international president of Kiwanis International. Fast fact, the only Kiwanis International president to serve 2 terms. Dues, the initiation fee, by the way, for the club was $10, and dues were $5 a year. And I looked it up, that's the equivalent of about $310 in today's money, or $155 is what $5 goes for today. The 54 charter members were all business and community leaders. We were restricted by classifications, meaning you could only have 2 lawyers, 2 doctors, 2 automotive executives. So they were all professionals, bankers, doctors, merchants, and manufacturers. Among the charter members of our club were family names you may recognize. Fred Ayers of L.S. Ayers fame, John Hook, if you remember Hook's Drugstore, well known in Indiana. Kurt Vonnegut, not the Kurt Vonnegut, but definitely related to Kurt Vonnegut, as well as Felix McWhirter, president of People's Bank. His son and grandson, Mac McWhirter, also joined, which made the McWhirters our first 3-generation Kiwanis family. Others include the Steels, yeah. George, Don, and Eric. Good to see you, by the way. Thanks, Eric and Lamita. And the Baxters, our other 3-generation family. We have Zooms on the second Thursday of every month, save September 10th and September 18th. I'm sorry, October 18th on your calendar for the next virtual meetings. You can also subscribe to our Google Calendar, so you don't have to look it up. But if you do, just go to indykiwanis.org and look at the upcoming events tab on our website. Graham Honecker.
Yep. I want to invite everybody, September 17th, we've got a unique program. A good friend of mine, Claire Longendijk, is an acclaimed pianist. She plays all over the country. She's produced albums and it's really good. I'm not a piano aficionado, but she sounds great to me. And I think she's gonna talk about what she does and maybe play a number or 2. So I would encourage you guys to come out September 17th for that program.
Thank you, Graham. So September 17th, our next in-person meeting. As Graham said, pianist Claire Longendijk. IPS Foundation's Kelly Riley and Indy Health District's Jamal Smith will highlight the major investment in Crispus Attucks High School, including their state-of-the-art Health Academy Lab on October 15th. The mayor has proclaimed October 17th as Coats for Kids Day, and the distribution event is again at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. You can sign up to volunteer for sorting of the coats on Wednesdays in September at the Salvation Army headquarters up in Castleton. Foundation will also be providing financial assistance and support to the Angel Tree and Radiothon. The Radiothon is December 12th. Laura Holloway.
I just need 1 second, Jeff.
Please, come on
You
up.
want me to go up?
Please,
Yeah,
yes.
go up. Less than 1 minute.
Lieutenant Governor Sandy.
Hello, everybody. I was at Decon
Right
in,
here, so I
oh,
get you on
so
speaker.
sorry. Is that this way?
There you go.
It was like
Or
right on you.
just put me
Perfect.
wherever I'm supposed to be. Okay, I was at Decon in Muncie last weekend, and I'm showing you this little flyer. In 25-26, we lost this many Kiwanis members. 3 of those are from your club, and I have given one to Kelly if you want to look at it. There's a very nice piece on the back, a lovely little summary of what we did. We had a Sunday morning service with flowers and candlelight, and those of us who were there to represent the clubs stepped up and took a flower for every person. So I'm sure you know your members: Greg Silver, Robert Reynolds, and Roland Dick. And I just wanted to share that with you. It was very nicely done, and I was glad to be part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy.
Hi everybody, my name's Laura. Just here to give a quick recap on the service leadership programs that we're doing, in particular Key Club. That's what I'm most involved with. And recapping the summer's events, we helped support 5 Key Club members to go to Dallas for the International Convention in July, and as well as our advisor, Melanie Gonzalez. She was supporting the students there as their chaperone. And thanks to our contributions to subsidize the cost, they were able to attend this event. And they took home some awards. It was really an exciting time for the Key Clubs that we sponsor. The Perry Meridian High School Key Club got 3rd place in the Year in Review contest. And our Shortridge Key Club member, immediate past District Governor Sweet Knight, took home the Distinguished Governor Award, which is very exciting. And as well as in our Speedway High School Key Club, Lauren got the Lieutenant Governor's Award. So that's exciting, and there's way more to come. Of course, we're in the middle of recruitment season for Key Club members. They're back to school now and recruiting for their clubs. And our club supports some pretty good-sized Key Clubs. So that's an endeavor. We're talking about call-out meetings that have hundreds of kids coming to them, so that's exciting. Up next, September, we're going to have the Fall Rally here in Indianapolis, and subsidize the cost of attending for that for a few Key Club members from our clubs. And Key Leaders in October, which is an exciting weekend getaway for the students. Some of them have never been really in an experience like that, where they go stay in a cabin, they're at Camp Tecumseh, they have outdoor activities, and some character building, leadership training activities as well. So that's in October. So yeah, that's all we got.
And then volunteer opportunities for the adult members?
Yes, well, I would say for us, keep that Salvation Army Coats for Kids date in mind. That's right during the fall break, at least for Perry Meridian High School, and I think it might coincide with Shortridge as well. I'm not sure about our other 2 Key Clubs. So that seems like a great event for us to get together. What's important about times that you all come to our service event with our Key Club members is they learn what Kiwanis is and what the next step in their journey with community engagement and leadership looks like. So seeing new faces of adults that aren't their teacher, they're not their parent, and what you do is exciting. So
Was it Midwest Food Bank?
Midwest Food Bank is an opportunity too that we could do as well, but I don't think they have gotten it off the ground from what I know. I don't know the date, but I know for
Years ago, that was awesome.
yeah,
Okay.
it would be. We also go to Gleaners as well. Perry Meridian goes regularly to Gleaners, so I can see about coordinating something like that. But yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Laura. Bob Lowry, grant update and introduce our grant recipient, Dayspring Center.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Bob Lowry here, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the current year's grants that we're going to be doing to local not-for-profits. We're going to be doing about 12 grants to local organizations of about $5,000 a piece, and we'll be starting that with the open application process starting tomorrow through Sunday, October 4th. Local not-for-profits are urged to apply at indykiwanis.org/grants. So if you know anybody that you are willing to or wanting to do that, let them know. Also like to know that we're opening to people in the Kiwanis Club that would be interested in serving on the grant application process. It's about a 3 to 4 hour commitment sometime between now and the end of October. So if you'd like to be a member to help us select those organizations, let me know, and I'll be certainly happy to get you on the list. Now I'd like to invite it's Vanessy. Of course, this is from the Dayspring Center to talk about the grant that they received for the Camp Discovery Program. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Vanessy and I am with Dayspring Center. I'm the development coordinator. And I brought with me our kitchen manager as well as our volunteer coordinator, Janice and Roscoe. But just like a quick little overview of Dayspring Center, we are a family emergency homeless shelter that's dedicated to serving families throughout central Indiana. We've been around for 40 years, since 1986, and unfortunately our services are needed now more than ever. More of our neighbors are becoming unhoused, and more of those unhoused neighbors are families with children. The main demographic at Dayspring are children. And so at Dayspring, we provide more than just housing. We provide personalized case managements where we work with our families individually. We also provide children programming where we pair children with case managers and really work with them. And an extension of that children programming, we have a 6-week summer camp named Camp Discovery, and that is what this award helped fund. So I'll have Roscoe speak on that a little bit.
Okay, my name is Roscoe Chambliss. I'm the kitchen manager at Dayspring Center. I've been there for 18 years. And when the families come to Daysprings, the key thing that you have to have is a child or children. A mother can't come by herself, a father can't come by himself. You have to have a child. So when they come through our doors, it doesn't matter what their background is. It doesn't matter what their race is. It doesn't matter what their religious beliefs are. Our golden rule is to treat people the way you want to be treated. And homeless is a situation. They are there for different reasons. You may have a mother there because her husband is incarcerated. A husband is there maybe because a wife has passed. Both of them are there is because they was transferred from a job outside of the state. That company closed down in Indianapolis. They didn't have any other family members, so they came there. So when they come with children. We have 14 rooms, 14 families, and we provide clothing, we provide transportation for the kids who don't have a school to go to close by. We give them clothing, and we give them the main important thing, we give them love and we give them food. We get 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And our golden rule is we want them to be better off when they leave than when they first come through our doors. So everything from donors and grants that we can get, because Daysprings is open 365 days a year. We don't close. and we're a nonprofit organization, and we really, really need the help. So thank y'all for allowing us this opportunity to come and share this with you all.
And so,
Ms. Candace?
you can thank me. I first want to say thank you for such a lovely lunch. It's not often that we get a chance to sit down and eat lunch. And so if you saw us eat quite a bit, it's because we really enjoyed it. We were hungry.
And it was good.
And it was so good. I think I get my cookie. But the mission of Daysprings is Daysprings lovingly meets the basic needs of homeless families, seeking assistance and connect them with opportunities to help them realize their potential. A lot of us in the room, some of us in the room, and with myself, I think about the fact that I'm a grandmother. I'm a grandmother, and I'm a mother of 3 sons and 2 grandchildren. And I am so thankful they have never had to worry about what shelter they would have, what food they would eat, and what clothing they would have on their backs. And so, as a volunteer coordinator there, we're a very small organization. My responsibility accountability is to bring volunteers in who can lovingly work with the young people, work with the families. And I find myself in the position of, I'm a child of 10 children. My parents had 10 of us. And you know, if they were here today, I would just bow down to them, because being a parent is not easy. But for the parents at Daysprings, they just sometimes just don't know what to do and how to do it. And so they bring us there as a staff, as a community. And as I listened to all of your presentations, I felt like I was back in school again. When the students would come up and present, all those things that you're doing in the community, don't ever take for granted what a difference you're making with people's lives. Even if you do not see those children with those coats and with those things, guess what? You're making a difference in their lives. And so at Daysprings, we are so humble and so grateful that you thought it not robbery to bless us with that $5,000 to help those children through the summer program, to feed them. And so today, as we sit here today and we think about our own families, and that made me think about my family again, how grateful, how we came up in life and we were able to have those things, opportunity, and we didn't think a second thought about being able to go to college, get a good education. Didn't think about the fact that we came home from school, we had food on the table, all 10 of us, we were not hungry. We had shelter, and we had 2 parents. We had a mother and a father. And these children at the shelter, sometimes they might have one mother or a father, they may have 2, whatever it may be, but they depend on us to make sure they are okay. So thank you. Thank you, one and all in this room, and whoever is the head of this wonderful organization who had the vision to do something like this, for not just one, but for all. So we thank you so very much.
Appreciate you joining us today. Appreciate everything you do for the folks in the Indianapolis community. Eric has an update for us on our biggest fundraiser of the year. We'll introduce our speaker, Don Knebel. I understand our golf course is underwater. Can't wait to hear your update.
Well, after the Dayspring presentation, back to golf. So our one fundraiser of the year is the golf scramble replaced the gala. So I appreciate everyone who's played in the past, Bill Du Bois, Steve Graham. So September 22nd, we'll be playing at River Glen. I asked Halstead to drum up some publicity. I wasn't expecting a national coverage of our flood and our course being 6 feet underwater. But River Glen is going to open next week. I'm thrilled, conveniently located 160th and Allisonville. So we need volunteers for the day of the event. We still have whole sponsorships and foursomes. Last year we raised just shy of $30,000. Steve, Don Steele. Last year Neo Engineers came through a $7,500 contribution. So contact me, contact Ms. Kelly, pay via check, pay online. Thanks for your support. I'm gonna turn it over to my wife, Lamita, who has almost a lifelong history with our speaker, Don Knebel. So, Lamita.
Thank you everyone for being here. It is my pleasure this afternoon to present our good family friend and a pillar in our community, Don Knebel. I'm going to briefly break down some of his stats, but if I told you everything, we'd still be sitting in this room in person in September for our next Thursday meeting. He's done so much and he's amazing. So let's start. Don earned a BS degree in electrical engineering from Purdue University, a JD degree from Harvard Law School. From 1968 to 1971, he was employed by Lockheed Missiles and Space Company, which I never knew, which was pretty cool. He was listed in the first edition of Best Lawyers in America in 1983. And in 2013, he retired as a partner with Barnes & Thornburg. He'd been there for 39 years with the firm as an intellectual property and antitrust litigator. But Don still loves to educate and educate others. So in 2011, Don decided to commit again to being a professor and senior advisor for the Center for Intellectual Property Research at IU Law in Bloomington. But after 15 years there, he recently retired last spring. But don't worry, this community leader is still chugging along. So currently, he is chair of Emeritus and on the executive board of the Booth Tarkington Civic Theater. He has been campaign chair of United Way for Central Indiana. And you may have read his articles of his Indiana Jones historical journeys around the world in current newspaper, and you see his face there in the past. As you know, he was the founding board chair of Interfaith Cooperation, which was the last time Don joined us, and this was over Zoom, and we had a panel discussion, which was great. And I found out actually recently that the first time he spoke to Kiwanis was in 1986, and he told me this is his third time, so that's really cool as well. He's currently the vice chairman of the board of directors of Crystal House International, with opening schools and going to India next month. And there's still so much more I left out, but I really am excited to present Recenter Indiana. Don is the founder and board president of Recenter Indiana. As a brief overview, Recenter Indiana is a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization founded in 2022 with the goal of encouraging Indiana politicians, elected officials, to focus more on Hoosiers instead of on the political parties. And so, with more?
Great. Well, thanks, Lamita. Actually, she was 7 years old when I first spoke at this club and talked at that time about women in Kiwanis. And that was before there were women in Kiwanis. And so obviously we made a lot of progress since then. I then came back as campaign chair in 2010 and then more recently spoke about interfaith. So this is my fourth time here. So thanks for all that. I'm going to talk about Recenter Indiana. I don't want to stand in front of this slide. Okay. I'm going to talk about Recenter Indiana. I'm going to talk for about 15 minutes or so, and you can have questions. We'll have a discussion. But if something as I go through here, you want to ask a question about, feel free to interrupt, because this is a small enough group that I can take people's questions and comments as we go along. As Lamita said, I started this group in 2022. Recenter Indiana, we originally had two components. We had a political action committee, which supported candidates. We had a not-for-profit, which has tax-deductible contributions. We've recently just gone to the not-for-profit corporation, so anything you give to us is tax-deductible. We have we're nonpartisan, as Lamita said. We have a Republicans, Democrats, and Independents on our board. So our website says, this is from our website. This is what we believe in. By the way, if you think politics in Indiana is in perfect shape, you probably should just ignore what I'm going to talk about. Right, it's not right. So anyway, our people over parties, results over rhetoric, and patriotism over politics. But here's our single-minded goal. You think, why should these even be a goal? Our goal is to center our political process on the interest of citizens. You may think, well, that's an interesting idea. Why do we think that's important? So I'm going to give you one example, and you'll have your own examples for this.
recent studies have shown that 74% of all Hoosier adults favor some sort of legalization of marijuana in this state. If you've been to any of our border states, you'll know that every one of our surrounding states has legalized marijuana, and you'll see all kind of billboards to cross the border and buy it here. $400 million of tax revenue is being lost to those states. Bills have been introduced in the General Assembly to at least consider this question. Should we legalize it for medical purposes, for all purposes, no purposes? None of these bills has gotten a single hearing. Now, whatever you think about the legality of this question, or whether we should legalize this, don't you suppose that if 74% of the people in Indiana favor this, that a bill should at least get a hearing? Well, why doesn't it get a hearing? Why don't the legislators respond to the interest of the citizens? Everybody know what the answer is? Because they can. Because they can. Because people don't get out and vote. Indiana at one point, not too long ago, was the worst state in the country for voter turnout. We're now 40th out of 50. But look at this chart. You see, every surrounding state, including Kentucky for God's sakes, has better turnout than we do. So if you don't show up for an election, only 6% of our registered voters show up for an election, and not everybody's registered. So that's where the problem is. So how do you solve the problem? How do you solve the problem? Recenter thinks there are two things you have to do. One is you have to let legislatures know about what the citizens want. And two, the citizens have to show up and express those views for the legislators. So those are our goals, our two goals. So you may know about this. Back in 2024, we ran a campaign, billboard campaign, throughout the state. Even Democrats can vote in the Republican primary. And we got a lot of good publicity out of this statewide, because what exactly are we doing here? Well, why would that be important? Because in much of Indiana, including the entire state of Indiana, who wins the primary almost inevitably determines the winner in the fall. If you win the Democratic primary in Gary, you'll almost certainly be elected mayor in the fall. If you win the Republican primary in Connersville, you're almost certainly to be elected the mayor in the fall. So many of our elections, perhaps most of our elections, including statewide elections, are determined in the primary, not the general election. Indiana's turnout in primary elections is pathetic. In 2024, when there were 5 Republican gubernatorial candidates on the primary ballot, only 17% of registered voters even showed up in the primary. It means that Governor Braun, who won that primary, won with 3% of the votes of Hoosiers. And yet that 3% put him into office, because it was almost inevitable who won the Republican primary would win the general election. So we said, well, if that's what's true, maybe we should have a broader participation in the primaries, so we can encourage Democrats to vote in the primary, in the Republican primary. Why does that work? It's a bigger representation of the community that would force the candidates on both sides to come closer to the center in order to get elected. So a lot of publicity about this. That was one way we could do this. So you all may remember, just last spring, there was an effort to have what we call mid-cycle redistricting, which is an effort to change the legislative districts between censuses. Well, we conducted listening sessions. We, Recenter Indiana, conducted listening sessions in 3 places around the state: Martinsville, Beech Grove, and Fishers. And we had invitations to all the people representing those areas, state representatives, and we invited citizens to come. On the record, people came, videotaped, put on the news. Well, people told us almost 100% who came, they didn't want recycle redistricting. They wanted the legislators to focus on what mattered to them. Healthcare, cost of living, political division. And legislators who came to these sessions then said, we voted against mid-cycle redistricting because of what we heard at things like this. When citizens have a voice, people will listen to that voice. Unfortunately, when it came to the fall election, when it came to the primary elections, the people that voted against redistricting, 6 of the 7 lost. Why? Because the people who said they didn't want redistricting didn't show up at the poll to vote in the primary. So your views don't matter if you don't show up to vote. So here's an example of these redistricting. We've had people come and tell us, what did matter to you? Well, they told us. We had a poll, we had a mechanism to show what does matter to us. Matters to them, matters to you. Healthcare, cost of living, political division. So, we then got a grant. We knew that young people don't vote. The average turnout from adults 30 and up is about 65%. For people between 18 and 29, it's about 40%. Well, why is that? Well, we didn't know. So we got a grant to do a survey of young voters who had registered to vote but didn't vote. We had 2 survey organizations, one Republican, one Democrat. We didn't want to be accused of bias in this process. So we did a survey of 300 people in Marion County and surrounding counties about why, if you're registered, why didn't you vote? Well, you might say, well, they didn't vote because they don't care, right? They're apathetic, young people don't care. Well, that's not what they told us. If you look at this, just not interested, there's only 9% of the people who said why they didn't vote. Look at the rest. I don't think my vote matters. One of the senatorial races was decided by 3 votes. I don't like the candidates. I don't trust the voting system. The election winners are predetermined. Well, that's what they told us. And then we said, okay, what do you care about? What do you care about? Well, they told us the same thing the adults told us. Overwhelmingly, they care about the cost of living and inflation. They care about threats to democracy. You think our kids care about threats to democracy? They do. You know what they don't care about? They don't care about illegal immigration. They don't care about reproductive rights. Those are the things our legislators focus on when this is what the people actually care about. So, the next thing we did is, what are we going to do? How are we going to engage these young people? What are we going to tell them? Well, the first thing we did is we took a camera crew and followed some young people around in the primary in Zionsville and Carmel and talked to them. Why are you here? What do you care about? How was this voting process? Was it hard, easy? Were you intimidated by the process? These are some of the young people that we engaged. And then we got another grant. And the grant is to create commercials on their media in their language about why they should vote. And that's going to start between now and the election day on November the 3rd. We've purchased 1.5 million impressions. By the way, if you're 25 and older, don't go looking for them because they're not going to find you. They're going to find these kids between up to 25 years old. That's what we're doing. Marion, Hamilton, and Boone County. 1.5 million impressions. And people say, how do you know if this works? Well, we're going to do the data. We'll get to November the 3rd. If more than 45% of our young people show up, we'll say we succeeded. If only 45% of the people show up, we'll say it's a failure. It's pretty easy to determine that, right?
How long do you think they'll keep doing that?
How long will we do it? well, we're going to do it for this election, and then we'll do it next spring again when it comes to the primary, and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. Because people will grow out of this age, right? And grow into this age. Okay, so the other thing we did, and this just was last Thursday.
That's not Rotary, is it?
So we have an event at the Islersburg Museum called Advancing the Center, an Evening with Chuck Todd. Chuck Todd was here. So were 270 people, Republicans, Democrats, Independents. 2 former mayors, Greg Ballard and Art Peterson, were there. Art Peterson and Steve Goldsmith had an interview over Zoom that was published. We then had a presentation by Chuck Todd talking about democracy, what we should do about this, in front of the State House. If you go down to the Islersburg room, you see the State House in the back. So he talked about this, and then he interviewed some young people. Same young people who are in our commercials. Do you have hope? Yeah, we have hope. What's it going to take to get young people to vote? Understand the issues, understand how to do it. Are you willing to go talk to your friends? Sure. So my daughter points out, Dad, these young people don't look like you guys. They look like young people. That's exactly the point, right? So in any event, that's what we did. And then we've created and announced at this event something we're calling the Civic Action Lab. We're going to engage young people, pay them a stipend to create groups of other young people explaining the process to them. So we're hoping each of 10 people, 10 young people, will recruit 50 people to create a group to explain the process to them and try to get them to vote, and then encourage them to get 50 more to vote, and the whole idea would be to mushroom out beyond these 10 people. So that's what we're doing. And here's our website, recenterindiana.org. Everything you donate to us is, I say, tax deductible. And so now what I'm going to do is just open this up for comments or questions or thoughts, or why are you even doing this?
So you basically have young people interviewing young people.
Yes, we do.
Try to-
Yes, we do.
Because I think that's probably what's going to make the change. That's different from the past generations.
Well, we found out from data that young people who are asked to vote by other young people are 30% more likely to vote than if they're asked to do that by their parents. Peer pressure works in both directions. It works to keep people from doing good things, it works to keep people from doing bad things. So we want to establish peer pressure. In fact, it's interesting, one of Chuck Todd's ideas, what I think makes a lot of sense, he says you celebrate the 16th birthday of your kids when they can drive. You celebrate the 21st birthday of your kids when they can drink. Why don't you celebrate the 18th birthday of your kids when they can vote? Make that a big deal in their lives. Yes?
Do you think that young people understand, this is a little deeper into civics, that how the two political parties really control the election process?
I don't think they can understand any of this.
Yeah.
One of the things that Chuck Todd mentioned, and it's absolutely true, civics is not even required in schools anymore. And he pointed out you have an SAT on math, you have an SAT on language, you don't have an SAT on civics. So you can be totally ignorant and get a high school degree, and then you go on and get a college degree and be totally ignorant about the process. So no, I don't think they understand that. I don't think they understand who controls the legislature. Why do you suppose, anybody have a thought about it? Why do you suppose if 74% of the people at least want to consider legalization of marijuana, why the legislature don't put it on and give a hearing? Anybody understand some thought of that? Anybody have an idea? Well, there are powerful business interests that don't want marijuana to be legalized because it competes with them. Liquor stores, pharmaceutical companies, those are the people supporting the legislators who are then turning down a hearing for what the people want. So no, I don't think the kids understand. By the way, I don't think a lot of adults understand this. Remember, we're 40th out of 50 states, worse even than Kentucky, in showing up to vote.
Don't be picking on Kentucky.
Well, they used to say Indiana's glad to have Mississippi because we don't always be last in everything. Other thoughts? Yes?
So when you said these 10 kids are kind of ambassadors to kind of spread the message
Yes.
out, are there specific areas that they're gonna target to get the message to the young people? And I'm just thinking about my own son, who is now a freshman at IU Indianapolis.
We're gonna be going to the colleges. That's where we're gonna be going. The high schools are not the right place because they're most of the kids in high school can't vote. It's gonna be the colleges and people who are in the jobs.
Okay.
And we're gonna be paying these people. We're gonna pay these people. Good question. Other comment? Yes?
On your survey, one of the top reasons for not voting was because they don't trust the voting system.
Process.
And I'm not necessarily surprised about that, but I think if you had asked that same question way back when I was in that age range, younger age, that nobody would have said that. I mean, that was just not a thing.
Well, so one of the things that these commercials are gonna say is, they're asking these young people, how complicated was this process? And the answer is not at all. People showed me how to do it. They're intimidated by this idea they're gonna have to go in and control a machine. They've never seen it before. Their parents didn't take them to this. When I was in school, we had a voting machine in our school, right? So I know what a voting machine looked like. If you're a kid today, you have no idea what a voting machine looks like. You have no idea what you have to do to it. So we're gonna have videos that show, okay, this is what a voting machine looks like. It's just it's like a computer, like almost like a video game. So yeah.
There's also a lot of, you hear in the news all the time that people, well, some politicians.
Yeah, the system's rigged, right? The system's rigged.
Yeah.
So in any event, those are the things we have to overcome. We're not gonna overcome it by me talking to kids, we're gonna overcome it by kids talking to kids. Yes?
Don, you were talking about Kentucky for a second, and you're talking.
I've used that in a humorous way.
Yeah, I know, I'm from North Carolina.
Yeah. Well, you guys are doing better than we are.
But when you were talking about other states and sort of the rankings of how things are, because I was just with someone from Tokyo who told me that Japan is number 2 in education and the United States is number 18.
Or so.
Or lower.
Or lower.
But I've heard a couple of people, and I've been around a lot of teenagers lately, and I've been talking about voting, and they don't seem to be interested, and I was asking why, don't you know how important this is? And I was getting some answers that sort of sounded like the fatigue of what's going on in the world,
Right.
that just, it can't be fixed, everything's too bad, what's the point, that sort of thing. And what are other states that have better records for voting than we do? What are they doing?
I don't know. That's a really good question. I don't know. We're focused almost exclusively for now on young people because they're 20 points below, even 30 and above. We're focused on those people. If young people, by the way, there were more people who didn't vote in the last presidential election than vote for either of the 2 candidates. So neither of the candidates won a majority of the people who could have voted. The people who didn't vote were more than the one who on either of the other candidates. So the don't votes can control the outcome if they voted. Young people could get what they want if they voted. They don't care about the old people's issues. You don't see abortion on these lists of things they care about. They care about cost of living issues and healthcare issues and environmental issues. All the things our legislatures seem not to want to talk about. Yes, Grant.
I'm talking about the different demographic, and I'm looking at the photo behind you, and I will be specific on this one, and if you're offended, I'm sorry, but.
I'm not offended by anything.
Not by you, I'm talking to the crowd.
Oh, okay.
We have a lieutenant governor in this state who said the 3/5 compromise was a good thing. Who's clearly has issues with Muslims.
Yeah, call it prayers hate.
Like, how do you keep morale, I guess I would say, of like, it would be easy to me if I'm in that demographic to say, this is insane and I'm getting as far away from politics as possible versus.
So here's the good
stepping
news.
into
Here's
it,
the
if
good
that makes
news.
sense.
These young people don't know anything about Micah Beckwith. He's not coming up on their feeds.
But is that a good thing?
Well, it's probably not a good thing, but you're asking how, are they getting turned off? They don't know about it. They know they can't afford a house. They know they can't afford what their parents had. They know that their friends are going to be disadvantaged because of their race or skin color. That's what they care about. Micah Beckwith is for them, I don't know if it's even a footnote. It's a big deal for us. It's a big deal for me personally. But it's not an issue that they care about. They maybe should. I care. You all care. Remember, we had a person that took over state politics about 100 years ago on behalf of the Ku Klux Klan. We recovered from that, but it took some courage. Other questions?
So you mentioned that we aren't going to see these feeds that you're marketing to these people. How are you marketing? Is it Facebook?
It's all kind of stuff. We're going to have some, actually some are going to be on streaming TV. It's mostly going to be TikTok, Instagram, things that we don't look at. But we've hired the people to do this to focus on 25 and under. Now, they may miss some. If you all have been playing video games, they might find you. But our focus is 25 and under. For 1.5 million impressions in these 3 counties. That's a lot. It's a lot. And they're 10 seconds long. Yes?
I know you're focused on Indiana. Are there other organizations in other states that do similar work than what you do?
Well, there's one happening in North Carolina. I'm aware of one in North Carolina.
Okay.
I'm not aware of any others. So if we succeed, we could have Recenter Wisconsin. Yes?
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
I'm just scratching my head.
Oh, scratching your head.
No, I'm surprised that there's one in North Carolina because I think they're in some ways more backward than we are.
No, we're not. They're not.
And I
It's
can say
a
that
purpler
because I
state.
grew up there.
It's a purpler state. They've had elected representatives from
Well,
both
they have a
parties.
Democratic governor,
They have a Democratic governor.
but he's the one bright spot.
Right. We haven't had a Democrat statewide office holder for 13 years. North Carolina has. Kentucky has.
I'm sorry, what was the fact you just said?
We've had no statewide office holder from the Democratic Party in 13 years.
Really?
Other questions? Okay, we obviously appreciate your support. There's things you can donate to, read about, go to our website. Be thrilled to have your support. Thank you so much.
I think Indiana's only gone 3 times Democrat. Roosevelt, Johnson, Obama. Is that right?
Right, that's right.
So, remember, I don't know how often the governor was Democrat, but.
Well, most recently Frank Obama.
Yeah, certainly remember some in my lifetime. Don, as our speaker today, we want to make a donation in your honor to Healthy Soul Culinary Art Foundation. They empower youth and strengthen communities through hands-on culinary education, wellness center training, and pathways to economic opportunity.
Well, thank you so much.
You get a certificate suitable for framing.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming. All right, folks, remember September 17th, as Graham mentioned, our next in-person meeting here, Punis, Claire, Lion, Dyke. Let's put out the word out to our fellow members and get as many people here as possible for our last in-person meeting of the administrative year. Mary.
So when were you want us to do social supper in September? Give me some ideas and we'll put it on the calendar.
And then has everybody signed the card that has been going around?
Yes, everybody did.
Perfect. Don't know what he did, but obviously he did something.
Ran into a Rotarian.
That's crack a couple of reds. All right, with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.
All right, thank you.